Hi, guys. Oh my god, it's Ugly Bob! What the hell are you doing here?
Hello Castlevania fans, this is part 14 of 26, focusing in on Castlevania Aria of Sorrow, the third game for the Game Boy Advance. Now this game really was something special because it was advertised as being the first Castlevania game in the future. Now, probably in press releases and pre-game releases this seemed like an exciting idea, but it turned out to be nothing more than a focus for the plot, because you wouldn't be able to tell from looking at the graphics that this game took place in the future. It simply allowed the Castlevania timeline to diverge in an interesting course that they're still working on, and I think it's the best since what they've done with Symphony of the Night. Anyway, this game was first released in 2003, and it stars Soma Cruz, a graduate student from the United States who's studying abroad in Japan. He is visiting the Hakuba Shrine, home of his friend Mina's family, and it's an ancient shrine dedicated to shamanistic-like powers, when all of a sudden they could become trapped inside a castle that seems to be inside the eclipse that they had come to see. Next we see a mysterious man in a black suit coat, a prototypical Japanese-looking Bishi man again, and as you'll see, there's a reason he looks this way. His name is Genyan Arkido, I believe his name is, and he tells you that in order to escape from the castle, you've got to head to the throne room. The gamer, just like some at this point, really doesn't care, really is left wondering what's going on, so you just move along and you recognize just more of the classic Symphony of the Night style gameplay, beating up monsters, going along, and all of a sudden something different happens. Well, actually this happened when you first got the intro. The way that the system works in this game is that Soma apparently has the ability to absorb souls from defeated monsters and use their abilities. This is both a revelation for Castlevania as well as lending to elements of familiarity, because, like, for example, the first one you get, I believe, is either a spearman or a skeleton, and a skeleton throws his bones, just like in all the classic Castlevanias, in an axe-type way, so you can say it's like an axe, even though you'll get the axemen. All of the abilities are very functional and easy enough to understand, like, you'll use them in certain situations, others work certain ways. There are three different types of souls. You have ones that you use to attack, like I just mentioned. There's ones that enhance your abilities innately, like, of course, Death is in this game, so it's not a spoiler. You'll get his soul later on, which allows you to throw sides to appear out of nowhere that will strike your enemies. Very cool sight, very cool ability, and those count. Those are what those type of souls are. I believe they're blue souls. I never really took the time to differentiate between the different souls because their functions are obvious. And the last one are ones that will just... actually, innate is a better description for the last set of souls because they'll allow you to do stuff like double jump, walk on water, things like that. And you move along, you have more than 100 different types of souls to collect. And besides this new gameplay system, which I don't know if it was... I think they didn't call it the Tactical Soul System until Dawn of Sorrow, for whatever reason, so we'll just call it the Soul System. This pushes the whole game, pretty much, focusing on this system. Like, you'll go, instead of like finding statues that will break apart, giving you abilities to get into different areas, like if you need a double jump or a sky jump, you'll get a soul that will allow you to do that. And they incorporate this both in the classic Castlevania games, Castlevania ways, as I mentioned, and then new ways, like you might have to get a bat. So what do? You have to go find a bat familiar, or no, in this case you have to find a soul that will enable you to turn into a bat. Interesting stuff like that. Now let's diverge. Let's go along more traditional means. The graphics in this game are a notable departure from Harmony of Dissonance, but this was very much intended. As it had been said with Harmony of Dissonance, they focused on graphics at the expense of music. In this one, they tried to balance it out a little bit, and I think they achieved their goal. The sprites are definitely smaller, and the less detail in the backgrounds. The rooms also are not as closed in, so it feels like more of a Circle of the Moon type vibe, like the environments
not
are
quite
large
to that
and stuff
scale
like
of
that.
Circle
Not
of the Moon, but it still seems like that because the camera isn't as close to the action as in Harmony of Dissonance. The music in this game is, again, suffers from the standard Game Boy problems of low quality audio. The composition still feels stronger than Harmony of Dissonance. Like, Ruined Castle Corridor is nice, and the end theme, I can't remember the name of it, I think it's Momentary something, especially given the revelations in this game, really feels like a catharsis to the events, if you will. The bonus mode, Julius mode, has some of the classic tunes like Vampire Killer and a few of the other ones. Overall, I'd say this music is pretty You know, it's hard, like I said, to really comment too much on Game Boy Advance music because it's just too shrill, much like NES music was. I think it's alright for what it tries to do, but the compositions are really like... I own the soundtrack because I had to buy it with Dawn of Sorrow, and I definitely listen to Dawn of Sorrow more, as I'll tell you in my review. It's really just a matter of the sound quality, but if I had to say which Game Boy Castlevania had the best music, would probably be this one. Challenge. This game, of course, is not really that challenging, as are none of the Metroidvania games in the wake of in the wake of Symphony of the Night, simply because you have a problem with a boss, grind 3 or 4 or 5 more levels until you are strong enough to beat it, or you won't take as much damage. And then the fact is, this solution is compounded by, you have almost unlimited healing items. There's several souls that can heal you at inordinate amounts, like literally the Allura Un soul, for example, which is one of the coolest souls, can heal 10 HP a second, so you'll be full again in seconds. It's probably the easiest of all the Game Boy Advance Castlevania games. If you are looking for a challenge, though, you should try Julius mode, because he has no access to healing except for save points, and he has no souls, of course, to heal him in battle, and he's got no items or potions or anything like that. So again, the classic Castlevania challenge is retained for those who are looking for it. Fun factor, I really had fun playing this game, not just because of the new system that introduced really a fresh take on the Metroidvania type style gameplay, but because this game I really enjoyed following the story. I approached this not knowing what exactly was going on. Later, I tried to figure out, based on the character's name, like looking for hints all over the place, and I really couldn't find it. And unlike the back of Dawn of Sorrow's case, I'm not going to spoil it for you here, just in case there's anyone who doesn't know what the game's big secret is. As I said before, it really sets up a great storyline that if discipline can be maintained, it will help to elevate the storylines, that the games that focus on this storyline to the greatest in Castlevania history, possibly even rivaling Symphony of the Night. Let's just hope Iga and his team will be able to continue releasing their games and focus on the story as well. This game also has quite a bit of fan service because, like I mentioned with Genya, there's also a Belanese in this game, and of course you have Belmont. Oops, I gave his name away. It's supposed to technically be a secret, but I think when you encounter him, you can tell pretty much who he is. And he doesn't exactly make it a secret. He just says, "Ooh, I have amnesia," and stuff like that. And then, you encounter him, in another part of the dungeon or something like that. He's like, "Oh, he remembers." Something like that. Anyway, with the fan service I mentioned, the Belanese character even goes quickly. By accident, she reveals who Genya is very quickly, and I was like, big smile on my face when I realized, obviously, who she was talking about. And I thought, damn, that's awesome.
see my Symphony of the Night review if you want to know about the character, if for some reason you're not aware of who he is. Anyway, Aria of Sorrow really did do something new, and it spawned actually one of the few sequels in the Castlevania universe, which we'll continue with in our next review on Castlevania Dawn of Sorrow. We'll see you then.